working? I think so. Yeah, I think I'm live right now. I'm sorry if I just repeated the whole thing because I'm still keeping on trying new stuff to improve things. Anyway, so again, hi everyone. Let me see if this is if you guys are receiving like I think it's working. So yeah, I'm very sorry for all the unprofessionalness, but then again, I'm not a professional. So yeah, I hope my video title is actually showing up too. If you guys got any suggestions like how to work with this live streaming software that continues to not stream, like not actually make the stream, um, if there's any suggestions, please let me know. Hey Ali, hi Tila, and everyone else who might be watching right now. So, today I wanted to talk about something that's been, it's not easy for me to talk about actually, but I thought it's something it's probably gonna help me be good for myself in a way. I guess any sort of coming out is always sort of good for you. Maybe it's gonna help some others too. Uh, this is actually very hard for some stupid reason. Um, it's just not like usually when coming out you think of other things, but I am coming out as a virgin, and that's something that I've been ashamed of. I guess I've been like this just feels really weird just doing this, but I feel I gotta do it. So yeah, it's especially if you're like past a certain age, you're expected to have lost your virginity, and I just been learning. I think over the past year or so, slowly, I've been just getting over that sense of shame, I suppose. So this is kind of like a way for me to express, yeah, like a last sort of a last bit of like a last obstacle to get over, sort of. Oh, not the very last obstacle, but it should be something. Yeah, I said it now. Like this is something that um, only very few of my closest friends knew, and even my family doesn't know. Um, and it's stupid. I mean, why should you be ashamed of that? Why is there like such a. It's like there's this sort of social pressure after some age that to lose your virginity. Well, really, it's just, you don't, and maybe this sort of encourages others. I mean, I'm pretty sure, I know, I'm not the only one at my age who is still, for various reasons, I have very clear reasons for it. Um, and I'd like to discuss that a bit later on as well, as it has to do with how chastity has to do how chastity it has like has has some virtues to it, and that there's more to like having sexual intercourse than just the physical part, and why you should be careful with that. And yeah, I'm just it's really hard. It's not easy at all for me to talk about this. Oh yeah, Ali, I'm 34, and so I'm in my 30s, and yes, I'm still a virgin, and right now I am learning to be proud of it, because it's you know. On the other hand, I'm not judging anyone. That's everyone has to do their own thing, and I'm not saying like maybe that's exactly something that maybe I'd like to break through or something like this sort of. It just because you're a virgin doesn't mean you can't get any. Or I mean, I had my chances for sure, and I mean I get plenty of guys uh, who are interested. Um, and it also doesn't mean you have to be like religious or um, very strict or prudish. It's just sometimes it just doesn't happen, or um, in my case, you're just the right person is not incarnated. Basically, um, that's well, yeah. I mean, as far as I know, at least you have to kind of run into the right person. Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Ali. So Grace, yeah, that's the topic actually. It's the yeah the topic is about virginity um, at a later age, I guess. Um, Also, if you guys want to ask anything, feel free to just I don't know, talk along, whatever. And there's also something it's in this especially in the occult. It's it seems to be this popular opinion that about um, that lust and sex should be indulged upon, but I think there's some errors in my video. But am I actually? Are you guys still receiving the video, or is it all okay on that end, or not? All right. Good night, Ellie. So yeah, there. What? Where was I? Um, yeah, to indulge into lust and other sorts of things, and well, I am in no not the one to judge any of that. There's still something I would like to share my views, and maybe it will help people think about a few things, keep things in mind. That in religion, um, in many religions, some forms of chastity is usually promoted, and even though I'm not necessarily a fan of that, um, it has some backgrounds, I think, that are that could be very important, because what I believe is that once you engage in a sexual connection, even if no matter what it is, like if it's just a one night stand, or a long-term relationship, if it's only in the physical or in spiritual forms as well. The thing about it is that you sort of once you make that connection, there is some sort of anchoring that happens, and both sides leave leave some sort of energetic, tiny little link, or a little bit of each other's energy inside each other. And with that, I think it's important to keep in mind um, that you're taking that energy of the other person into your soul, into your being. And I think it's something that unless you're able to clean yourself, it's something to keep in mind. Like, who do you let in? Um, Not the next guy or girl at the bar, I suppose. It could be, and if you think about it, like that tiny piece of energy that you're um, connecting, that stays with you. It can stay with you all your life, maybe throughout various incarnations, even. So, and with that, also the possibility of um, that person's issues, their problems, their karmic issues, whatever that is, or um, I call that spiritual STDs, and I think that's a very real thing. And of course, there are probably ways to um, protect yourself from that or clean yourself afterwards. But I think that is actually one of the main reasons that many religions try to just keep it down, like, yeah, in a forceful way. It's of course never a good thing, but it's something to think about um, as a reason to not just sleep around with just anyone, because you don't know what you're taking in. And yeah, yeah, I think it's just us, Grace. I see Justin just joined in, and for me, that's one of the reasons why I'm still a virgin, is that I would only be, for me, um, it's a choice I made, that I will only be with those who are in my soul group, like my soulmates and they're pretty much not incarnated, which is probably very weird to some, but it's my choice. Of course, in that way you cannot. It's as probably a lot of people know in who are into spirituality in general. That doesn't mean that you can't have any sort of sexual relations at all. It's just not happening in the physical world, I'd say, or not as such. So that's it for me. And I suppose I just kind of want to get rid of that whole taboo. Like, there's absolutely no need to I don't know, to have sex or to lose your virginity at a certain age. And it's not also for men, I think, especially for men. I know I have male friends that are virgins too, and they are like, there's this whole thing about incels and stuff, and they are not unattractive, they're good looking. uh, it's just some people that they have set a certain bar for themselves, I'd say. um, not that anyone that does um, prefer to indulge a bit more, or I'm using the wrong words here. I don't mean to sound like being better or anything. It's just that some people just have set some preferences, and like they would only want to be with their soulmates, or with someone they have a genuine spiritual connection with. And as was my personal case, um, I wasn't even aware. Like I had a boyfriend, for instance, long ago, and for some reason I just simply couldn't do it. I just felt like, even though I was attracted to him, and it's probably just like the higher self, or like it's just not meant to happen like that, or and I think yeah, I just kind of hope that other people who might be watching this in the future, who are in a similar sort of situation where they hide that stuff, there shouldn't be a reason to hide that. So I mean, being a virgin doesn't make you like boring or whatever. Grace, yeah, it's in relations to ghosts and succubi, yeah, for sure. But aren't humans also ghosts? It's something that and again, I'm not judging anyone. I mean, I think 99% of the people do indulge in sexual activities, and that's perfectly fine. It's just maybe it's just something to like a bit of a fair warning, I'd say, is to watch who you sleep with. That counts for spirits too. It's for anything. I mean, it's always some sort of energetic connection, and yeah, that's gonna leave stuff behind inside of you, and it's not just for. They say it's just for women, but really, what's a woman? What makes a woman a woman? Um, like you might be a woman physically in this incarnation, but your soul is probably more androgynous. So it doesn't matter. It happens. You don't have to be a woman to catch that spiritual residue of your partner. And in case that there are cases where you would want that, where you want to have that energy in you, and that is where there is also the difference between there's a lot of talk about sex magic. It's very popular. Um, but I would like to add that there's a big difference between sacred sexuality and just plain old sex, like reproductive or just lust. I mean, that's the difference with that part. Like, if you actually want that person's energy in you, that's like you consciously want that. You are aware that that's happens, and you are okay with that, and you want it, and that person wants your energy inside them as well, like this. You want to carry that with you for possibly for eternity. I think that's when it becomes sacred sexuality. So there's a lot of reading I need to do. Yeah, of course. You can of course remove that unwanted energy from you. I mean, again, I'm not. That's that can be done. I think, but I'm thinking also about the people that don't know about that. Um, Perhaps for them, this whole thing, this chastity, purity, whatever. um, Maybe it's kind of aimed initially at the people that don't know how to remove energy from them, that have never even heard of that, and just sort of keep it at the incidents or the unwanted. I don't want to say spiritual pregnancies or whatever, but just keep it at a minimum. All for those who are not aware of that can happen, and then that it can be removed. Yeah, and um, I think it can be done. Like it can probably also be prevented. I'm pretty sure there are like spiritual condoms, and after all, there's a lot of these sexual spirits. I mean, let's face it. I'm gonna say something a bit harsh here, but they are probably not looking for the energy per se, or the specific vibes of a horny teenager who is desperate, or yeah, it's yeah, no, I know how that sort of thing sounds, but there are so many people who, yeah, like sexually frustrated, and they might be going to that spirit with a negative sort of a negative mindset maybe, and they want to release that, and I don't know. um, so basically they could be sending their negative vibes and emotions to that spirit, and I'm pretty sure the spirits know how to deal with that. So to get back to what you were saying about cleaning yourself off that, if the spirits can do it and deal with it and transmute it, and then probably so can you. I mean, we're all energy, so yeah. I think it can be done. Yeah, I don't. I'm not. I'm not the expert on sex, of course. I mean, not in the physical form, at least. That's something. Otherwise, I probably would be making this video, but maybe I think probably physical sex might be overrated. I don't know about that for sure, but I think the lust part is, in a way, if it's just about you know if it's not with someone you love, it's just for me personally, it's something I just don't do. Like, no. But I can totally understand when others do it. So now the funny thing is, people do come to me. Like, I mean, I'm not. People ask me for advice on things, and like, I don't know. I'm not an expert at all. Like, not like relationship advice, whatever. I don't know. I mean, not on a human level, I'd say. But yeah, I just sort of released this thing into the world, and I'm not sure if it has any value to other people. But for me, it's just yeah, feels like a release, I guess. Um, Not sure if there's anything else I wanted to add. I wanted to say something, but I think I said everything I wanted to say. Yeah, Grace. Yeah, for sure. That as long as you're happy with yourself. I mean, I'm personally I'm on my own as well in the physical world, but I made peace with like I accepted that. It was very hard to accept first that I'm probably never gonna have a boyfriend or whatsoever. That's just it's not in it for me. But it's also a choice that I made, and that's that. Um, yeah. Maybe you know if you're happy with yourself and you're gonna run into the right people. This whole I got this whole theory about how soulmates work and stuff. Uh, it's kind of like you know um, not depending on the other person to make you whole. I know, yeah, I know you're Jenny, but because you're using your other profile right now, so I'm not sure if you prefer to call me to call you Grace or I'm just I don't know, I guess being polite or something. Even though I just said something that might have been pretty harsh to people out there, but it's just you and me, and I think maybe there's someone else watching too. I don't know. I suppose this is not a very popular topic, I'd say, but yeah, there's just something. I'd say that there's this sort of. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong. I will take it back if I'm wrong, but I think that a lot of people in the occult talk about sacred sexuality and like doing sort of ritual sex or sex magic, and I think they have no idea what they're actually talking about. I dare to say that. I think a lot of them don't know what they're talking about. Um, and like I said, if I'm wrong about it, I will take it back, and in that case, I am sorry. But it's just it's not something to be taken so lightly. Um, Hi Sorsha, thank you for joining too. And yeah, I know I just said some harsh things probably. I don't know, or maybe people are gonna think like, who is she to make such statements? But yeah, that's what I think, and that's there are reasons, like I stated earlier, there are reasons that abstinence, I'd say, or just that many religions advocate being careful with who you sleep with, and for your own spiritual growth, for your own ascension. Um, I'd say that maybe, like, especially if you were to do like in a ritual or something, just make sure you have some sort of sense with who you're doing it that with, and um, that you have a bit of a idea about um, what sacred sexuality is, and don't it's not the same as just plain old sex. There's a difference in there. Yeah, Sorsha, I basically I started out just having a bit of a coming out. Um, I just told everyone that I'm still a virgin. That that's the part you missed. And from there on, it just went on to sacred sexuality. So, yeah. Grace, yeah, we are supposed to do that, but I don't think that's always like. Do you want to embody the divine with some dude you picked up at the bar? I'd say. Do you want to? Um, do you want to do like that? That's. Um, I think it's something that people might do well asking themselves before before choosing a sexual partner. Um, if if you want to connect with their higher self, their divine self, their divine spark, like, and if that's a no, maybe you shouldn't do it, or make sure you clean yourself afterwards. I think it's and thank you, Sorsha. um, Grace, saving yourself for someone, I don't think that's wrong. I mean, if you're saving yourself for someone, for your soulmate, for someone you have this, anyone who you have this divine connection with, I think that's fine. Um, and if you don't, that's fine too. Yeah, and just I don't think it's wrong to wait for that prince or princess, and it's kind of it's become in modern day society, it's become a bit of a taboo almost to wait for the right person, and I don't think it should be. Like, I know people are being bullied for that stuff, like, sort of being laughed at, and it shouldn't be that way, I think. So that's it. Yeah. I think actually maybe more people who might be watching later on. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only virgin in my friends list. Probably not. No, I'm actually 100% sure. But yeah, yeah. It's just where was I? Yeah, thank you, Sorsha. Yeah, it's I've had my experiences with it, like divine sexuality for sure. Um, as you know, being a virgin in the physical doesn't mean that you're a virgin in all layers of. There are many ways to experience sexual connections. I'm sorry, the chat is not really keeping up, so I have to read back sometimes. It's gonna take some time. Yeah, sorcery. That's really, that's a beautiful thing if you can experience both sides. And part of me wants to. I get curious sometimes, but then in my case, it's just not a good. For me, I would have to have a boyfriend at least, and for me, that's just not a good idea to be doing that. So a choice I made. But very likely, I probably never experience it. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing, if you can experience both sides of that. I'm sorry, I think I'm disconnecting a little bit. Maybe the connection is a bit unstable. So I hope you guys can still see me. Yeah, self love is very important. Yeah, I'm a big promoter of that. I mean, if you don't love yourself, you can't love others. Yeah, Nina, many people give it up for just anyone, and just that's what I was saying earlier on. That given the, that people can transmit their own, like not only in the physical way, but also in a spiritual way, you can sort of, transmit all sorts of things to each other. But that energy exchange is also a very beautiful thing, because if it's with someone you do love, be it in the physical or be it in spirit, because that can happen too. Um, in that case, it can be really nice to have that person's that person's energy inside you for a while. And like I said, not only women get that, but men too. I mean, it's an exchange, of course. So, yeah. I wonder if there's so many people who are single, and maybe it's just maybe being aware of that sort of, not necessarily needing physical relationships per se, but then again, nah, that's just, yeah, maybe because like preparing yourselves to receive that soulmate, I'd say. Like, I mean, if you're happy with yourself, you don't. Once you're completely happy and whole with yourself, you won't rely on others, and that's when you can have like a healthy, fulfilling relationship, a loving relationship. If there's um, a sense of, I say receiving, giving and receiving instead of taking, like grabbing to fill something inside of you, like grabbing and sending to get rid of stuff you don't want. Once that's once that there's no um, holes to be filled or excess energies to be um, expelled, I'd say it's you just get a much much more harmonious um, uh, relationship. And like I'm talking from an like experience, not in the physical way, but like I said in the beginning, I have some soulmates that are not incarnated. So uh, I've experienced these things from a different perspective, but I'm sure this works for you for human on human relationships as well. Hey Dominic, thank you for joining as well. Yeah, that's right, Sorsha. Yeah, um, yeah. I mean, you don't have to have physical sex to enjoy intimacy, and also you don't have to have physical sex to actually to even have a sexual connection. I mean, that stuff can happen on different levels. Yeah, Grace, someone who isn't afraid of you. Yeah, I'm not afraid of you, but then again, that's not, Yeah, but I guess for me, if I were to ever have some sort of relationship with someone, they would always have to share me because I know who my soulmates are. Um, and again, soulmates doesn't always refer to um, lovers per se, but if it's about close soulmates, like what you would say twin souls, I call them close soulmates because it's not always just about the two, and there are several types, and I think closer soulmates just covers the load a bit more, and I think more often than not, it's a sort of a teamwork where one of them or some of that group, part of that group is incarnated, and the rest is not, and it's kind of like one of them has the physical experience while the other has the non-physical experience, and you sort of um, guide each other, like you become each other's coaches in a sense, and not only in a sexual way, of course, but in general. Um, it's like a perfect team, almost, I'd say. Grace, I'm not sure. Sense eight, I'm not sure what that is. Well, Nina, if but think about it. If you want to be sure, that's exactly what I meant with this whole thing. Um, you say that if you have astral sex, you better be sure to know who the spirit is. But if you have sex with some guy at a club you met, or like you met like when you go out, you better be sure to know who that guy is. Like who is his spirit, who is his soul. That's exactly the same thing. You're in the astral. Everyone seems to be more careful about it because suddenly they are aware that this could be a spiritual connection, and but in the physical they forget that the same rules apply. So yeah, that's, and again, to each their own, but I think it's something to keep in mind, and maybe yeah, just a bit of a warning for that. And I'm starting to think maybe like in the media that I would say lower levels, low vibrational sex, maybe like how sex sells, um, and I wonder if it's because it's very present in media everywhere. you know, it's just commercials, but also music videos, things like that. And I'm not against that, whatever. But maybe we should keep in mind that this lower vibrational sexuality, it could be yet another way keep our to keep our vibrations down. Um, just another thing for us to lust after, to want, while we could be reaching for something higher, and something to keep us anchored to the 3D, uh, to the third dimension, and while we should be evolving to the fourth dimension and fifth and beyond. Um, I think it could be very, just yet another reason why um, pop culture, modern day media is so very sexualized. So, yeah, it's just something to think about. I'm not saying it's wrong to get into that or to indulge. I mean, that's all fine. That's just, I think people should just know what they're doing. Oh yeah, Grace, if you're not sure about the soulmates, and basically that's not something that internet can explain. It's something you have to experience for yourself. It's when you know. That's just, I think if you have to look it up. I mean, I did some, you know, look, like, of course, I was very young when I was exposed to that whole idea. I was just, I was 18, or 17 or 18 when I knew um, that I had a soulmate who is, well, I wasn't sure if they were incarnated or not, but I was about 18 when I became aware of my soulmate, so to say. So it's just something, yeah. When that's what it is, you just sort of know. And there's a lot of that on the internet, a lot of different theories. It's also heavily romanticized because your closest soulmates can be your worst enemies. Sometimes you, especially when incarnating, when you know, sometimes you incarnate to teach each other the harshest lessons. Um, like they say, even your twin soul or twin ray or whatever. There's so many terms for it, but if that is your mirror image, for instance, one of the types of close soulmates is kind of there to mirror you, but that can also be a very big, like a very harsh confrontation. Like everything you don't like about yourself will be mirrored by that person, and it can be like you can really have like the worst, most painful fights with your closest soulmate. And also there's this pushing and pulling, um, and on there's also, I think there are cases where other forces, especially those that seek to control this planet and control humanity, I'd say there are also forces at work that do not want us to connect with our soul group. So they're gonna make it very difficult, and perhaps even like these beings, like false light beings, will spreading lies or just just make driving wedges and stuff like that. So it's definitely, as with any thing, the closer you come to a certain level or to a certain, I wouldn't call it finish line, but you know, at some point the resistance will become stronger and stronger. Like, and also it can be scary too. You know, you have like the complete loss of the ego and melting and stuff. Like it's not it's not the fairy tale marriage, I'd say. Okay, sorry guys, I have to do some scrolling. Yeah, Sorsha, yeah, I can yeah, I can certainly imagine that many people possibly feel that way. Like, no, of course, there's no way to feel guilty. Like, I mean, there's no reason to feel guilty, of course. But, um, and if you keep in mind that spiritual people, I'd say, like most of the people here, know how to rid themselves of that unwanted energy. But imagine all the people that don't know how to do that. That's kind of, I think that's why religion advocates chastity, I think. Magical monasticism. Mm. I I think, I mean, mastic, magical monasticism. It's really to each their own. Um, I don't think it's something you have to do, but if it's something you feel you have to do, then that's what you should be doing. Um, I think I got cut off again. Not sure what this. Or am I still live? Wait a minute. Not sure what happened here. If I'm still live, can you guys like let me know or something? Wait. Oh, I'm still live. Okay, good. Sorry for that. I just got some sort of thing on my screen, like as if I was as if I was cut off. Okay, so okay, let's get back. What? Yeah, magical monasticism. I think I would almost say that I hadn't heard of that term before, but I think I'm kind of doing that. You know, yeah, there could be many reasons for that. To um, to be celibate. Some are celibate if it like it's not their choice, of course, but Yeah, I don't really. I'm not sure if I really have an opinion on it. It's just sort of. The thing is, I have no way to really compare it because I'm not sexually active myself. So I can't say clearly if it's better or not. If that makes any sense. I think that would be up to someone who has experienced both. And I mean, yeah, probably in other lives I experienced physical sexuality, pretty sure, but not in this one. So it's something um, I cannot say that. What was it again? Sorry, that magical monasticism is better per se. It's just something. I guess I have to happen to be practicing it, sort of, but I have no comparison because maybe I will at some, who knows, but yeah, maybe that's something that you the Sorsha you could be. I mean, as you said earlier, you have you have experienced both sides, so to say. So maybe that's something you could get into. I'd say. Ah, right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I misread the comments. I guess it's early, very early in the morning here. Um, so yeah, yeah, it could be a description. Yeah, a description for many of us, or uh, I'm also seeing a lot of people that generally not just in the occult, but at some point like they get into some forms of abstinence, not giving into any urges. But I'm not sure um, if that would also count for other things like urges to, I don't know, eat sweets or giving up some, if that has more to do with giving up something that they like, or if it's just if it's purely sexual. Yeah, for sure. Belial, I think it's kind of a little bit of a thing with Babylon. Yeah, maybe I'm not the one who should be talking about that actually, but I think Crowley probably has had quite a big hand in um, this whole idea that um, I'm gonna say some. Possibly gonna piss some people off saying this, but the whole sexualization of the occult, and that um, the blurring of the lines between sacred sexuality and normal sexuality. I think Crowley and this whole Babylon thing have had quite a large influence in that. And again, it's not, I'm not, blaming or whatever, but yeah, it's just my views on, yeah. And I know a lot of people on my friends list are big fans of Crowley, but yeah, it's not. Personally, it's something I don't entirely agree with, but that's me. But for sure, Belial, um, but also Azazel, for instance, Lucifer, other spirits. Generally, these higher up advanced beings will certainly help you, uh, if you wish, of course. I mean, they will certainly help you filter out the people who are not good for your own, for your energy vibes. And possibly even I know of stories of people who had sexual who had sex with the spirits, just so that the spirit could make them feel the difference, uh, help them set that bar to not just go for the next guy. And I think it helped that person, um, keep their standards a little bit more upwards. And it it just happened in one session, just to give that person that experience of being in a sexual relationship. Let's say even though it was just once, it that's all that spirit really needed to raise that person's standard. Susan, hey, no, we're not talking about Belial. We're talking about uh, virginity and sexuality and sacred sexuality. Uh, yeah, that's really Shelby. Of course, if you have a spirit, if you can be with a human who is like your soulmate, that's great, of course. So yeah. Yeah, Grace, of course. But on the other hand, maybe I think anyone, we have a lot of, we have this tendency to always think of our exes bad, as bad influences. But like I was saying earlier, that sometimes your soulmates are your worst enemies. Um, I think anyone who you are with for a longer time, it's never a waste of time. It's otherwise you wouldn't be together for more than a few weeks, I'd say. And even then, there's something my mother once told me. She said that the human soul is like a harbor, and different boats will come and how do you call that when a boat like connect like ties like put their rope on the docks or oh, got some language barrier here. But what's that called when the ship comes in and oh, yeah, you guys probably know what I'm talking about. Ships coming in to the docks, and they some of them, back to the human soul metaphor. So these ships and these boats are other souls, and your own soul, that's the dock or the harbor. And some ships, they come and bring something. Other ships only take something. Some ships bring and take. and also the duration of their stay has it's it's of little importance. Like some stay just for a little while others stay for a very long time. But the interaction is still there. Um, None of them really either come empty or leave empty. There's always some sort of thing going on. And yeah, anchor, Susan, thank you. So I think that no relationship is worthless. There's always something, even if you had like the biggest clashes, or like you're talking about, the ex not understanding your path, but there has to be some reason why you were with that person for a while. And maybe they could very well, even though they are not spiritually open in this life, doesn't mean that they are not uh, part of your soul group. Yeah, Shelby, I think it does. But it's just more of like a metaphor to say that all of these relationships, and it counts for friendships as well, and family. Like all of them have value to them. So yeah, and our horrible exes or terrible family members, uh, friends we got in fights with and stuff like that. They're all there for a reason, even though you know you might meet them in this life, but they might be your soulmates who have agreed to teach you a very rough lesson. And yeah, who knows, you might be very strongly connected to them outside the physical. I think it's about time for me to kind of wrap it up a little bit. If you guys have anything to say or any questions, let's see if I missed anything here. It's 6 a.m. here, so it's definitely bedtime for me. I'm sorry if I missed any questions or comments. Yeah, you never lose, indeed. So always something, some reason. Like nothing happens without a reason, right? Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get some sleep. Yeah, it's probably a good idea. So, thanks to everyone for joining in. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you guys next time. And good night to everyone.